My 365 Podcasts with me, Pete Cohen. Hi, it's Pete Cohen here. You join me for another My 365 podcast, and we do this podcast once a month where we interview one of our My 365 members of the month. And I'm delighted in a moment to tell you who that is and then to talk to that person and see what we can learn and see what this person has achieved. But before we do that, I need to tell you that today's My 365 podcast is brought to you by my free Willpower ebook that you can get your hands on. Just head over to mi365.me/willpowers with an S at the end, -2. That's mi365.me/willpowers-2. Get your hand on that ebook. It will seriously help you take control of your life. So let's get on with the show. Our member of the month for the month of December 2017 is the amazing, the inspirational Susie Beaumont. Susie, how are you?
I am amazing and absolutely chuffed to bits. I can't believe this. I'm speechless, which is probably not great considering you're going to do a podcast with me.
Well, I couldn't imagine you being speechless because I know that you're someone who's very vocal actually about developing yourself. And I think the first question I'd love to ask you is, how did you feel when Hannah and I called you up and told you that you were our member of the month?
I was... Well, completely and utterly shocked, first of all. I genuinely never... I just think there's so many other people that are totally worthy of it. And so I was genuinely surprised. I mean, you called me the other morning and, yeah, it just put the biggest grin on my face. I was so chuffed and proud of myself and just so grateful. But just truly grateful that, that it's just such a special honour. So thank you.
Yeah, and, you know, there are lots of people who are incredible examples of developing themselves. But for me, you know, I've obviously watched your journey since you've been a part of the whole My 365 experience. And you've definitely been the most, or at least one of the most consistent people, always showing up. Even when something difficult is happening, you show up. But also what I love about you is you show up when something really great is happening. And I think it would be great to start off with, tell us a little bit about what you have achieved since you've been on this journey.
I've changed so much, honestly. I mean, everything from my thinking to my diet, my lifestyle, my habits, my behaviors, to completely massively stepping out of my comfort zone. I have faced some of my biggest fears, like public speaking has been a huge one. I've set up a business on the side, you know, my Change Your World business, put on a massive conference to inspire others to make positive changes in their lives. And none of that would have been possible without the daily consistent work I've done on myself, but the accountability that this group brings, but mainly the support and encouragement from the My 365 members. I mean, they helped me to believe in myself. So,
there's so many avenues we can go down here. And when I do these interviews, sometimes, because it's interesting what you've done for a living for many years about producing radio content, interviewing people. When I interview people like you, sometimes I like to do it and not really know exactly where we're going to go, because it's like going on this little journey of exploration in terms of just seeing what comes up. And for me, the first thing that came up is, why do you think it's important for people to go to work on themselves and develop themselves?
See, this blows my mind when I don't understand why people wouldn't work on themselves and develop themselves and grow into the best that they could be. Because for me personally, like, sort of my personal development journey started about 8-9 years ago. And, you know, there were some seeds planted, you know, that there were opportunities that I didn't take. And then I started, you know, I met a life coach, and that's when the journey really began. And I started working on myself. And the difference in me now I mean, that person, I don't even know who that person was. And I keep looking back at that person thinking, why on earth did you live that way? Why did you think that way? Why were you that way? And it was because essentially I'd had no role models, not the correct role models.
Yeah.
I hadn't had the kind of right support and advice, the support to grow. And now now I'm just in such a happier, healthier place. I've gone through some real challenges, 6 years ago in my life where total grenade went off in my life. And I genuinely would not be here today if it was not for the skills that I was implementing and being taught with my life coach and all the development I was doing on myself, because I just would not have got through that bleak time. And I really, personal development for me, it's just like, because not only does it make you happier and healthier and just help you to create the life that you really want and aspire to, the ones that you dream and daydream about, but also it makes a difference in the world. That's the biggest thing. By improving yourself, you change the world.
Well, this is something that we'll come on to, because I know that not only have you changed yourself, and we all know that's always work in progress, right? It's never like we are the finished article. But what I love about what you're doing is you've now set upon a mission to help others do something similar. So let me just pick up on a couple of things you said there. When you say about you can't believe that person, you were that person. So is it that you've become someone else, or is it the fact that you've actually become who you really are? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like I had all this untapped potential that, and every one of us does. We all have our amazing, unique talents, but so many of us are not using our talents and are too scared to tap into those talents, to be our true self, to be our true, authentic self and do what we were put on this earth to do. And I've changed. It's like I've just changed my mindset about so many things that I used to believe and was so short-sighted about. And now I'm just like, and I live with more kindness and compassion, and where before I used to be angry and negative and moaning. I was you talk about victim mode a lot on my 365. I was that person, it's like it was always everybody else's fault. I was blaming. I was never taking responsibility for my own life and what I was creating.
So you were living a life. If you look back at yourself as you were, like you said, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, what would you see? You'd see someone who had that kind of victim mentality, like you said, blaming other people. How else would you see? What would you see in that person?
I was definitely somebody that I had no confidence. Absolutely. I just did not believe in myself at all. Even though my mum always said this phrase to me, there's no such word as can't. And that's definitely set a really strong seed in me. And I do believe that. But it would take me longer. Like, instead of just going for it, I would procrastinate and I'd be constantly stuck in fear mode going, oh, what will people think of me? What if it fails? What if it's this? And now I just go for it. I'm like, well, let's just see what happens. Let's just learn from it. And, something good will come out of it. It might be painful. I might fail. But I will be further along than where I am now if I just stay where I am.
Yeah. Because there is obviously still a stigma attached to personal development, but there are more and more people that are really going into developing themselves. Why do you think there is a stigma attached to becoming happier, reading books, meditating, doing yoga? Why do you think there is that stigma?
Well, it's funny because it's like we claim our identity, we get into our roles of who we are. And to be that person that's happy and healthy and,
yes,
you've got to let go of stuff, and it's like, well, if you let go of that stuff, who are you?
Yes.
And that's scary, to let go of who you are and kind of consider
Yes.
there might be another way, and to be judged by family and friends, because you've got to, in order to get to that place of thinking differently and being happy and healthy, you've got to change. And people around us don't like change because they're used to what you are. And it's painful because you've got to let go of relationships and friendships. And, you do lose people along the way. And I mean, I remember when I was going through this, I've lost, a lot of friendships. And, well, not a lot, but a few friendships. And now, I reconnected with some recently, and I can completely see, without the emotion being attached, why that friendship ended. But at the time it was so painful. I felt guilty, I felt upset. I was like, why are we not going forward? I felt all these really negative emotions. Now I can see it clearly that we were going on two different paths, and that contract, as it were, was now over. I'd learned what I needed to learn, they had learned what they needed to learn, and our relationship had gone the distance that it needed to go.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? That whole thing of there's that video I've seen on Facebook with a rabbi talking about the shrimp that has to get rid of its shell to have a new shell, but the pain that it has to go through. And it's the same with the snake. It's the same with many animals that shed their skin. It's almost like, and I know you made a video about this recently, which I actually watched twice. It was about a 12-minute video where you were actually talking about, because obviously I ask everyone to share what they're learning, what they're achieving, what they're doing, because it's an integral part of coaching and developing and working. But I was really intrigued by that whole thing of letting go, and I love what you said there about our identity. I am my fears. I am my worries. Who would I be without that? I think for some people, that whole concept of, well, I don't know who I'd be, so at least I better hold on to what it is that I know, because it's familiar to me. I don't have to work at it. It's just who I am. But it's awesome seeing your journey. Tell us a little bit, and we can delve in a little bit deeper. But tell us a little bit about what you've observed from other My365ers since you've been on this journey with other people.
Well, it's just incredible just watching people grow, and you can see the difference in people. And it's confidence always kind of is the big thing for me, seeing people becoming more and more confident to be themselves. And I remember I was reading a book, and one line in this whole book was, life is a test and we only pass when we're true to ourselves. And this is what I see happening in this group. It's essentially people becoming true to themselves, doing what is right by them and for them, becoming the best, so that therefore, they serve the people around them better. And it's just, there's highs and lows. We all have highs and lows. I don't think, well, I know I've certainly burst into tears in one of my check-ins and stuff like that. But that's the thing. The group are here to support you through the good times. They celebrate the good times. Yeah. And they support you through the challenging times. And I don't know any other, I certainly do not have other networks. I've got close friends, obviously do that. Yeah. But essentially, that doesn't happen in everyday life. It doesn't happen in the workplace. It doesn't happen, in your family dynamics and things like that. Well, not always. Sometimes it does.
Sometimes. Well, I love that thing you said about being true to yourself. Very, very powerful. And I'd like to explore, well, what does that really mean, being true to yourself? But before we look at that, I obviously have to give massive thanks to you, because you have really spread the word to a lot of people, and a lot of people in Scotland, actually, who are My365ers, and you introduced someone to being an elite member who introduced someone else who's become a massive part of creating our meditations, and that's Gemma Murray. And it's like this great thing of, okay, who can we help? And they're one of the greatest Scotsmen of all time, apart from obviously yourself, Andrew Carnegie, who wrote about, the Mastermind Alliance, the realization of, he wrote about this in, he knew about this in the very early part of last century, about, hey, we need to come together, because I need this and you need this. Let's help each other. Let's work with each other. Let's not try and take advantage of each other. Let's build and work. But let's look at that true to yourself thing first. What does that mean? For me, when you say that, now, what does it mean to you?
Well, to me, it's about finding your own truth. So, like, you may say something, in your broadcasts, and I will say to okay, it might hit a nerve, and I go, okay. So I ponder that, and I work on it, and I go, is that true for me? Do I agree with that? And some of it might challenge me. So then I think, okay, well, if something challenges me, I listen to it, because I'm like, that's a huge signal for me that there's something in this. I've got to learn from this.
Yeah.
So I then go, okay, well, let's just try it. I don't know. I could completely dismiss it and go, no, a lot of rubbish, and which I used to do. But now I go, okay, well, let's see. And so to give you a perfect example of trying to find your truth, I will put something into place and work out, well, let's see if it is going to work for me. So an example, about 6 months ago, about 6 months ago, I had an experience where I overheard two people bitching and gossiping about me, and it proper hurt me to the core, really. And I went into my own little pity party, went into victim mode, and then I was like, okay, I am done with this situation. I am turning this situation around. And it coincided with a TED Talk that I went to. And it was this guy talking about this experiment with plants and about how, two plants, exactly same environment, one plant you nurture and you're giving loving thoughts and saying how beautiful, the other one you were criticizing. And this one that was getting loving thoughts and being praised was thriving. This one's completely not. So then they did lots and lots of different experiments, and then they basically hooked it up to, I think, the plant up to a lie detector test. And one again, not saying anything, just thinking loving thoughts. The one on the right, thinking negative, critical thoughts. And again, every time a critical thought happened, it would register on this meter. So the guy asked the question, how are your thoughts polluting your environment? And it hit me like a brick. I just thought, if I am not verbally moaning about this situation, I am thinking it. And I thought, right, that's it. I am turning this around, and I'm going to send love. I'm going to not react the way that I usually do. All the times I get triggered, I'd be like, breathe, pause, and go, okay, reach for a better thought about this situation. I've completely turned that situation around. Our relationship is completely better. To the point where there was an apology a couple of weeks ago, just saying, let's wipe the slate clean, let's start afresh from here. And I was like, wow. So when we're talking about truth, it's like, for me, find out what is true for you. Try it. If it works, then great. If it doesn't, then you know. So you found your truth of the situation. It's
such a powerful thing. It's like, you be the change. Why should other people change? It's like, it'd just be so easy to blame, criticize, rather than flip it. And then you own it. You then own what you have done. And I think for a lot of people, that's one of the greatest feelings of look what I did. I think that being our true self is being maybe who we were put on this earth to be, and part of that maybe is finding out. And I think the reason we are here on earth is to make a difference, because it's only through other people that have done that you and I are here, whether it was our parents, parents, and I believe that's what we have to do. But let's talk about what you decided to do, because you put on an amazing event, Change Your World. It was unbelievable, and I was very privileged to obviously be a part of that. But tell us, where did that idea come from?
Well, I've got you to thank for that, actually, because, it was the Mastermind Alliance. So I had been phoning around various people that are just kind of catching up with people. And I thought, wow, I know a lot of people that are doing amazing things in their lives, and they're trying to make a difference in the world. And I thought, what could we create if I brought them all together, like the Mastermind Alliance, and they were all working tirelessly to change the world, but doing it themselves. And I thought, if we were together, what could that generate? What ripple effect will that create?
Yeah.
So that was the seed of the idea, the Mastermind Alliance. And I thought, I know, I'll put on a conference. And that was the basic seed of the idea. And I literally thought, how hard can it be? So naive. Because I thought, okay, my skills as a radio producer, it's the same skills. It's just on a different stage. It's a different platform. And it's obviously bigger. And I mean, yes, I've got to get the audience in and all the rest of it. But I thought, build it and they'll come. It'll be fine. Yeah. And so I sat, and I literally, I mean, when I look back, and I'm so grateful for the faith that people put in me, because I literally phoned people up and said, okay, got the seed of an idea. I mean, I didn't have a name. I didn't have a day, anything. I said, I would like to put on this conference and I would like you to speak at it. I've got no money. I can't afford to pay you. Will you do it?
Yeah.
And people said yes, which blew my mind. So when I had a group of people that said yes, the core people, I thought, right, okay. And then, literally went down to Eden Court, the event where it was held, and I was met with the event manager, who was so enthusiastic about the idea, which again was another key in the chain, because had I been met with, oh no, that won't work here. Oh, no. It probably would have, well, I don't know. I think I was pretty determined to make it happen. But anyway.
It was an amazing event. It really was. And just reflecting back, the people you had there, Neil Shah, Dr. David Hamilton, what was the nutritionist called from Scotland?
Oh, Ian Bell.
Amazing guy. And the name of the lady who I actually interviewed as a My 365 podcast, Paula
Maguire.
I mean, just these amazing people. And everyone that was there, I mean, everyone just had an amazing time. So
the feedback was incredible. I mean, it really did blow me away, because you do the absolute best that you can. I mean, I was so naive. I mean, I learned so much through that experience, but I was just like, what? It was like, what's the worst that could happen? Well, yes, the worst could have happened that it was a complete and utter flop. I would have lost lots of money that I'd invested, my personal money, lots of time. However, I would have still learnt and grown from the experience. So, however, it came good. So
it was so good, to the point now where you're doing another one. Tell us about that. Tell us about the date. Tell us who's going to be speaking.
Well, again, so the 21st of April at Eden Court in Inverness. We've got an amazing lineup. So we have Laura Willis from Shine Offline. So she is talking all about our relationship with our technology, like our smartphones.
Yep.
How to create a positive relationship that works for you, so you're not addicted to the smartphone, because the average person can kind of look at their phone 500 times a day, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
She also talks about how this technology is designed to distract us, to suck us in, to bring it so that we, obviously buy more and all the rest of it. So, it's about taking control back again. We've got Dr. David Hamilton coming back. We have, there's one guest I really want to name, but he's just not quite confirmed, but he's a big, big name and big game changer. Dr. David Riley, he's going to be there. Amazing genius mind on the power of the mind and our health and nutrition, and how our thoughts create our lives, and how they can heal the body, that kind of thing.
So what about you?
Me? Yes. Well, yes, I'm going to be there, obviously, and I've got a few things to fine tune and tweak, but a lot of
are you up for a challenge? Because in my mind, and I'm sure loads of people who are listening to this will agree, that you have become a great example, and I personally would love to see you speak. You know, because you've become an authority, and I think that's the next step for you. I know this is sounding like I'm actually coaching you, but I think it's time for you to stand in your own light, and even though it's your own conference, to get up there and speak, because I think that's the next step. Who else thinks that's the next step? That's my gut feeling is telling me that.
Well, that is why I was so resistant to say, because, you know, there's part of me, like a lot of people had fed back and said they wanted to see more of me, hear more of my story. I should have been not behind the scenes. And I was like, yeah, I mean, the next step is definitely step off. And I've drafted my running order already for the day. And there is going to be more of me doing sort of the MC, the hosting.
Good.
But not... I haven't committed to the whole event.
Right, so everyone send a message to Susie telling her they want to see her present. Tell us, how do people get tickets to the event?
So if they go on www.changeyourworld.me, you'll go to the tickets page and you can find out all about it there. And so, yes.
Changeyourworld.me, we'll put that in the show notes as well. So look, as we begin to wrap up this podcast, tell us why you think people should look at My 365 Elite. What would you say is in there for people who are looking to develop themselves?
It's an amazing, consistent resource. I mean, this is how my development is ramped up, because, you know, I was doing personal development, but the daily accountability that you get with My 365 Elite, you know, tuning in every day, the thought-provoking questions, and then the massive resource that you can tap into that is there. I mean, at the moment, I'm not utilizing all the stuff that's there for me to, but this is where I'm going, because I realized how much personal development I want in my life. I'm creating my life so that I can have that. So come New Year, I am totally tapping into this and, you know, getting me ready for hosting my own conference. But yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just, why would you not want to improve yourself? And I know that, you know, people sort of say, well, I can't afford it. And it's like, well, this is good. Like, if you can afford to go on a night out, like I see people like going out every weekend and blowing £100, whatever, on a night out. And it's because they're seeking happiness, but it's a temporary happiness, you know? And I mean, I'm not saying having a night out is a bad thing at all. But it's like, okay, well, don't blow your money in something that's only going to give you temporary.
Yeah,
you know,
it's such a fascinating thing, isn't it? That whole achievement, that whole feeling. Look what I've done, the investment that I have put into myself, and seeing your journey is great. But I honestly do believe this with you, Susie. The best is yet to come. That there will be challenges along the way, because that's what we all need. I really do appreciate you, and you're also helping me achieving my goal, my mission, which is to impact the lives of 100 million people around the world. Because through impacting you and you putting on events and you impacting other people, it's coming. And I was thinking about Tony Robbins today, that you just think about maybe how many people he has impacted. Well, it must be millions upon millions, because he's impacted someone who's gone away, he's impacted someone else. And it's this massive...
The ripple effect.
Ripple effect. And that is how we will change the world. Susie, I wish you an amazing Christmas and Hogmanay.
Hogmanay, yes, absolutely.
Up there in Bonnie, Scotland. And congratulations for being our Member of the Month for 2017, the month of December. And if you've enjoyed this podcast with Susie, please leave us some notes, leave us some comments. Feel free to share it, however you want to do that. Let's let this story that is only just begun be shared with as many people as we possibly can. Susie, thank you so much. We will see you very soon. And just remember, this show today has been brought to you by my free ebook on willpower. And this is obviously a time of year where people do need willpower because there's temptation everywhere, and willpower is the science of self-control. So head over to mi365.me/willpowers with an S at the end, -2. That's mi365.me/willpowers-2. Take care. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and we will see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and if you want more free inspiration to optimize your life so you can achieve your goals in all the different areas of your life, then visit mi365.me. That's mi365.me and sign up to 365 days of free coaching with me, Pete Cohen. Thanks for listening and have an awesome day.